That's a wall.
Okay. Hi, my name is Tika Tai, and this is my informative speech. So most of our parents come to America from outside countries in search for a better life for themselves and for us. And you always want to ask him what went on that made them want to come look for a better life. But it's always been a really sensitive topic. And recently, the Prime Minister of my family's home country of Cambodia has been wreaking a lot of havoc, stealing money, taking lives, and abusing all of his power. So today I want to let you know more about his background information, why he's so feared, and what has been done to try and stop him from continuing to run the country so badly. So our Prime Minister's name is Hun Sen, and according to Britannica, a really widely used encyclopedia, he's dedicated nearly all his life to politics in Cambodia, which eventually led him to become the Prime Minister in 1985, which coincidentally was around the same time my mom decided she needed to flee the country. I don't think that's a coincidence though. Before that, Cambodia was run by this group called the Khmer, and they were really, all they wanted was power for themselves, and that ultimately led to the genocide of nearly 2 million people under Pol Pot's regime. And of course, our current Prime Minister was in that group, torturing people and killing people and all that stuff. And even now, in current elections, he always wins, even if his opponent has more votes than him. He'll pay his way to get to the top, or threaten him with violence so that he can stay on top of the hierarchy. So the New York Times displays a timeline of Hun Sen's service to our country, but they only ever benefit himself. They're only good for himself. And the most recent event on that timeline is this, countrywide rally that's all for opposing any further leadership from him. And it's just this whole peaceful thing. There's nothing happening except Hun Sen has to bring his soldiers in to try and move everyone out because he can't have this disorder in his country. And it led to, the deaths of a few people, which is pretty sad. But that just shows, how badly he's doing stuff. He's only able to stay at the top because of his dishonesty and manipulation and, threats with violence, or he's paying his way to get to the top, and that's not right. That's not how you should be running a country. And even my recent trip back home, the streets were lined with tanks and military equipment, guns and soldiers, and that's just really scary to see, he's still running the country like it was run when 2 million people died for no reason. And even more recently, Obama has taken a lot of, consideration into trying to help them. So he scheduled a meeting in late 2012 to try and, remind Hun Sen of the human rights of his people, that they should be living better, working and making money, and just being able to live like a human being should. And all of that is according to the Cambodia Daily, which is a really reputable, news site dedicated to Cambodian news. For example, on that website that I looked at, Hun Sen was accused of mass, forced evictions of people living, even in the countryside. They're living in like shacks, like they have little to nothing, and he still has to kick them out because they're living illegally on the land. But that's just him swindling us. And even on Human Rights Watch, they do it's an organization where they talk about human rights violations and how they stop that. They say all opponents, anyone opposed to Hun Sen's way of ruling things, has been murdered or assaulted, even in public. And all that happened starting in the early 90s, and the most recent happening in 2012, where a really famous leader of the political party was murdered in a really nice island, and everything's really fancy, and he was murdered because he's opposed to Hun Sen. So that he's greedy and vicious and a murderer, and nothing's changed under his rule, from when 2 million people suffered under the Khmer. And I'm just really lucky that my mom, out of 8 siblings, was able to make it to America out of the country so that me and my brothers could have a better life. And I wanted to bring more attention to this so that you would be encouraged to learn more about